On Christmas Day, I was excitedly preparing to visit my son when I received a text that made my heart skip a beat. "Old man, don't come here. I don't need you." Most fathers would feel hurt, maybe angry. They'd stay home. But I'm not like most fathers. I felt something was wrong. When I arrived at his house, inside was a wild party, but no sign of my son. I walked around the house and discovered something that haunts me to this day. My son was chained in a shed like an animal, his leg broken, about to be forced into addiction by his own in-laws who were running a drug operation through his business. Thank you for being here. Tell me in the comments, where are you right now, and what time is it there? Have you ever received a message from family that felt wrong? The December wind howled through the old wooden slats of my ranch house, but inside my kitchen, my heart was warm as a summer fire. I sat at the table, polishing my cowboy boots with saddle soap, the leather worn soft from 40 years of ranching. These weren't just any boots. These were my good boots, the ones I saved for special occasions. On the table beside me sat 3 simple gifts: a bottle of whiskey I'd aged myself for 5 years, a jar of homemade beef jerky, and a hand-knitted scarf for my daughter-in-law. Though I knew Brooke probably wouldn't wear something this plain. 6 months ago, Owen had driven down from Tucson just to see me. I remember how he'd grinned, throwing his arm around my shoulders. "Dad, this Christmas you have to come up. I'm smoking the best brisket in Arizona, getting the biggest tree in the whole neighborhood." That promise kept me going through 6 months of lonely dinners and silent evenings. Owen was a man of his word. Always had been. Never broke a promise. My phone buzzed. I smiled, expecting details about tomorrow's bus schedule. But when I read the message, the smile died. I stared at the screen, read it again and again. Owen would never call me old man like that. When he teased, it was pops or old timer, always with warmth. And Owen was careful with words. This message was cold. Perfect grammar. No warmth. Just ice. Something was wrong. I called him. Voicemail. Called again. Same automated cheerfulness. "The person you are trying to reach is not available." My gut twisted. That feeling, the one that kept me alive through bad storms and worse men, was screaming. I dialed Brooke. The phone rang forever before she picked up. "Hello, Dad. Is that you?" Her voice was wrong, shaky, breathless. "Brooke, where's Owen? He sent this message saying not to come, but I'm ready to head to the station." "He's sleeping." She cut me off fast. Too fast. "Actually, we're at the airport. Emergency trip to Cancun. It's really loud here. Owen's exhausted. Please don't come." Lies. Every word was a lie. Because behind her voice, I didn't hear an airport, no announcements, no jet engines. I heard music. Heavy bass. Aggressive rap. The kind Owen hated. He told me once, "Dad, that music glorifies violence. Never in my house." And then I heard it, a man's voice, rough and amused. "Hang up. Tell that old fool to get lost." The line went dead. I stood there gripping the phone until my knuckles turned white. Blood pounded in my temples. A normal father might accept it. Might pack away the gifts and spend Christmas alone, nursing hurt feelings. But I'm not a normal father. I've lived 70 years on this Arizona land, survived rattlesnakes and mountain lions and men meaner than both. I can smell danger clear as gunpowder. They say when you get old everything fades, eyes blur, hearing goes, hands slow. But one thing gets sharper, a father's instinct. I grabbed my jacket, reached into the drawer for my old folding knife with the oak handle. The blade was worn thin, but sharp as ever. I slipped it into my inner pocket right against my chest. That knife had cut ropes, skinned game, and once, just once, had protected me from a very bad man. Tonight it might have to work again. I thought about a kid I'd taught years back, troubled boy named West. Last I heard he'd made it into the FBI. Maybe I'd need that connection. Maybe. But first I needed to know for sure. I left the gifts on the table, left the warmth, and stepped into the December cold where my old pickup waited. I wasn't going to Christmas dinner. I was going to war. That text wasn't from my son. That call wasn't from a family heading to Cancun. That music, that voice, that terror in Brooke's words, that was an invasion. And somewhere in a dark house in Tucson, my boy was in danger. I could feel it in my bones. The Greyhound bus groaned down Highway 10, cutting through the Arizona night like a steel beast on a mission. Only 3 other passengers rode with me, a tired-looking woman clutching a shopping bag, a college kid with headphones, and a man in a Diamondbacks cap who hadn't looked up from his phone since Benson. I sat in the back right side where I could see everything. The driver, Hank, was a wiry guy in his 50s with a faded Marine tattoo on his forearm. He caught my eye in the rearview mirror about 20 minutes in. Heading to Tucson for the holidays? Something like that. Family. Yeah, my boy. Hank nodded, satisfied, and turned his attention back to the road. I was grateful. The last thing I needed was small talk. Outside, the desert stretched endlessly under a half moon. Saguaro cacti stood like silent sentinels, casting long shadows across the scrubland. Distant lights from scattered ranches flickered and disappeared. Everything felt empty, cold. I pressed my hand against my jacket pocket, feeling the outline of the folding knife. Not for reassurance, for preparation. People don't understand what a father's instinct really is. It's not some warm, fuzzy feeling. It's not just love. It's a low rumbling alarm that goes off deep in your chest when something threatens your child. It doesn't matter if they're 7 or 30. It doesn't matter if they live 500 miles away. When that alarm sounds, you don't hesitate. You don't question. You move. My mind drifted back to when Owen was 7 years old. We had a small herd of cattle back then. Nothing fancy, just enough to keep the ranch running. One morning a heifer wandered off into the canyon. Owen begged to come with me to find her. "Boy," he'd said, tugging my sleeve. "I can help. I know I can." He was small for his age, skinny with that mop of dark hair always falling in his eyes. But I saw the determination there, the loyalty. So I took him. We spent 4 hours tracking that heifer through rough terrain. Owen never complained once. When we finally found her caught in a thicket, he scrambled down without waiting, tore his jacket on the thorns, and soothed her until I could pull her free. On the walk back, he looked up at me, grinning through the dirt and scratches. "We're a good team, right, Bo?" "The best, son. The best." That memory hit me harder than I expected. Somewhere in Tucson, that same loyal, determined boy was in trouble. And I was barreling toward him at 70 miles per hour on a half-empty bus. Hank's voice crackled over the intercom. "Tucson city limits, folks. Arriving in 10 minutes. Through the windshield, I saw the glow of the city spreading across the horizon. Streetlights, Christmas decorations strung across palm trees, the neon signs of late-night diners. It should have looked welcoming. It didn't. The bus pulled into the station at midnight. I was the first one off. My boots hit the pavement hard. The December air was sharp and cold against my face. I stood there for a moment, staring into the dark streets beyond the station lights. My hand instinctively moving to the pocket where the knife rested. This wasn't a reunion. This was war. And I was ready. The taxi, a beat-up Camry smelling like stale coffee, pulled away from the Greyhound station. The driver, Rex, was a middle-aged guy with a graying ponytail. He didn't ask questions. I didn't offer explanations. "South Tucson," I said, "near the fairgrounds." Rex grunted and punched the address into his GPS. The 30-minute drive took us past shuttered storefronts and late-night diners glowing with neon. When we turned into Owen's neighborhood, the contrast hit me hard. Every house blazed with Christmas lights, inflatable Santas, multicolored strings wrapped around palm trees, wreaths on every door. Every house except one. Owen's sat dark. No Christmas lights, no wreath, no warm glow, just darkness. But it wasn't silent. Music pounded from inside, heavy bass, aggressive gang rap. Owen's voice echoed in my memory, "Bo, that music's poison. I'll never let it in my house." Yet here it was blasting. I paid Rex $40 and stepped onto the curb. His taillights disappeared, leaving me alone in the December cold. That's when I saw them, 3 black Ford F-150s parked across Owen's front lawn. Mud splattered like they'd torn through rough desert roads. The tires had carved deep ruts into the grass. Owen mowed every Saturday morning with meticulous care. My jaw tightened. I moved toward the house, keeping to the shadows of the oak tree. When I reached the front window, I crouched and peered through a gap in the curtains. The living room was bright. On Owen's Italian leather sofa, the one he'd saved 2 years to buy, sat a heavy-set man in his 60s with a bloated red face. He drank straight from a bottle of expensive whiskey, one from Owen's collection. Beside him, a woman with overdone makeup laughed, flicking cigarette ash onto Owen's white wool rug. But the younger man caught my attention. 30s, shaved head, thick gold chain. He wore a sleeveless shirt showing off a massive scorpion tattoo crawling from his bicep to his collarbone. His boots were propped on Owen's coffee table, and he was using one of Owen's kitchen knives to clean under his fingernails. I recognized him instantly. Owen had shown me his picture once, sighing heavily. "That's Brooke's brother, Vance. He's trouble, runs with bad people." I told him he's not welcome here. Yet here he was in Owen's house, treating it like a clubhouse. My hands curled into fists. If they were here partying, drinking, destroying my son's home, then where was Owen? Where was Brooke? I backed away from the window, heart hammering. The scene burned into my brain. Strangers desecrating everything Owen valued. Music he hated shaking the walls. Everything screamed danger. I stared at the front door, its brass handle gleaming. For a moment I considered pounding on it, demanding answers. Where is my son? But instinct, the old wolf instinct, stopped me. You ring that doorbell, you lose surprise. And in war, surprise is everything. I stepped back into the shadows. Pulse pounding, but thoughts sharp. I wasn't going through the front door. I was going round back. I stood there in the cold December air, hidden beneath the oak tree's shadow, staring at the side gate that led to the backyard. Logic told me to stay invisible, find another way in, don't announce myself. But another voice, the father's voice, whispered louder, what if you're wrong? What if this is just a messy family visit and Owen's upstairs with a migraine? What if you break in and make a fool of yourself? I had to know. I had to look into Brooke's eyes. Eyes don't lie. I stepped out of the darkness and walked straight to the front door. My hand reached for the doorbell. Ding dong. The music inside cut off abruptly. Footsteps. Muffled voices. Who the hell's that? I told you no visitors. The door cracked open. Brooke stood there in a thin silk nightgown with a cardigan thrown over it. Her face was heavily made up, but it couldn't hide how gaunt she looked, dark circles carved deep beneath her eyes. When she saw me standing there with my worn farm duffel bag, her face went bone white. She froze. Her hand gripped the doorframe so hard her knuckles turned pale. Her lips trembled, but no words came out. Hey, sweetheart, I said gently. I made it. Where's Owen? I got his message, but something didn't feel right. Brooke stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. Dad, why? Why are you here? We told you. We're at the airport. I mean, no, we canceled. Owen's asleep. He's exhausted. You can't. The lies spilled out frantic and incoherent. Then Vance appeared behind her. He held a beer bottle. His face flushed red from alcohol. His eyes raked over me with open contempt. He grinned, showing yellowed teeth stained by cigarettes. Who's this, Siso? The old farmer. He stepped forward, planting himself between Brooke and me. He was tall, 6 feet 2 inches at least. I'm 5 feet 8 inches on a good day. He loomed. Wrong house, old man. We don't need whatever you're selling. Get lost. I tried to step forward. I'm not selling anything. I came to see my son, Owen. This is his house. Vance blocked me with his body. Owen's busy. He's tied up. Come back, never. Now leave before I make you leave. I looked past his shoulder. Wade and Lynn watched from the living room, amused like this was dinner theater. I looked at Brooke, caught her eye. She wouldn't meet my gaze, but when her thin cardigan sleeve shifted, I saw a bruise on her wrist, dark purple, shaped like fingerprints. Someone had grabbed her hard. Brooke, honey, I said carefully. Just let me see Owen for 1 minute. I drove all the way from. Brooke cut me off, tears beginning to spill. Dad, please go. Please. Owen's fine. Tomorrow he'll call you. Just go. Her voice cracked with desperation. Before I could respond, Vance slammed the door in my face. Boom. The deadbolt clicked. Clack. I stood there on the concrete porch, staring at the closed door. The music started up again inside, louder now, like they were mocking me. My reflection stared back from the small window, an old man, 70 years of hard living etched into his face, holding a worn duffel bag full of homemade gifts. I looked pathetic, defeated. That's what they thought. That's what they wanted. But they didn't know me. They didn't know about the bruise I'd seen on Brooke's wrist. They didn't know the terror I'd heard in her voice. And they sure as hell didn't know what a father will do when his son's in danger. I stepped back from the door slowly, deliberately, turned and walked toward the street. Let them think I was leaving. Let them relax. But I wasn't going anywhere. Not without my son. A wooden door couldn't stop a father. I'd get inside, one way or another. I walked down the street at a steady pace, head down, like a defeated old man heading home. But when I reached the corner, I ducked behind the neighbor's hedge and crouched low. Waited 5 full minutes watching Owen's front door through the gaps in the shrubbery. No one came out. No one followed. Good. I circled around through the alley behind the row of houses. The December cold bit at my face, but I barely felt it. My knees ached, arthritis flaring up, but I ignored it. When I reached the wooden privacy fence running along Owen's property line, I ran my hand along the boards until I found what I was looking for, a loose panel. I gripped it, pulled, and squeezed through the gap. I dropped into Owen's backyard. The destruction hit me immediately. Owen's rose bushes, the ones he'd planted with Brooke on their first anniversary, were trampled flat, petals scattered like confetti across the mud. The lawn he mowed every Saturday morning with obsessive care was torn to shreds, deep tire ruts carved through the grass like scars. Those black trucks hadn't just parked out front. They'd driven back here, tearing up everything Owen had worked so hard to maintain. The whole yard looked like a construction site. And the smell, gasoline, heavy and sharp motor oil, and something else, something chemical, acrid, burning the back of my throat. Underneath it all, something rotten, decayed. I moved silently toward the far corner of the yard, past the ruined garden. That's when I saw it, the shed. It was a small wooden structure, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet. Owen had built it himself 2 years ago to store his lawnmower and tools. He joked about it once, things rickety as hell. One good kick and it'd collapse. But something was different now. The door had been reinforced, 2 metal bars bolted horizontally across it. The old flimsy latch had been replaced with a massive padlock, brand new, chrome-plated, gleaming dully in the moonlight. That lock cost more than the shed itself. Why would anyone put a lock like that on a tool shed? I pressed my ear against the wooden door. Silence. I was about to pull back when I heard it, clink, clink. Metal on metal. The sound of heavy chains. Slow, deliberate. Then ragged breathing, someone struggling to pull air into their lungs. A voice so faint I almost missed it, water. My blood went cold. I pressed my lips to the crack between the boards and whispered, Owen. Owen, is that you, son? Silence. 3 seconds that felt like an eternity. My heart pounded so loud I thought it would give me away. Then, knock. Knock. Weak. Barely audible. Like someone using their last bit of strength. And then a sob. Not the sob of a grown man. The sob of a child who'd finally found his mother after being lost. The sob of desperation finding hope. Bo. The voice cracked hoarse, almost unrecognizable, but I knew it in my bones. Boy. My world shattered. My son wasn't in Cancun. He wasn't asleep in a warm bed upstairs. He was here in this filthy, freezing shed, 10 steps from his own back door, yards away from where his in-laws were partying and laughing. They'd chained him like an animal. Owen, I whispered urgently, my voice shaking. Son, I'm here. I'm getting you out. Hold on. Another sob from inside. Then his voice, barely a rasp, they're going to kill me. Bo, Vance said if I don't sign. Sure. No one's killing you. Not while I'm breathing. I pulled back from the door and stared at the massive padlock. My hands clenched into fists. Rage roared through me like wildfire. Not the hot explosive kind, but the cold calculated kind. The kind that gets things done. I glanced back at the house. Music still pounded from inside. Lights blazed. They were comfortable, confident. They thought they'd won. They had no idea what was coming. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out the folding knife. The blade glinted in the moonlight. It wouldn't cut through a padlock, but I didn't need it to. I needed it for something else. I was getting my son out of that shed tonight. That padlock mocked me, gleaming in the moonlight, chrome-plated, heavy-duty, probably cost $50. But I wasn't leaving without my son. I touched the knife in my pocket. No good, couldn't cut through steel. I needed something else. I scanned the ruined yard. Most of Owen's tools were probably locked inside the shed with him. But then, near the corner under a tangle of overgrown bougainvillea, I spotted it, a length of iron rebar, maybe 2 feet long, half an inch thick, rusted but solid, probably leftover from some old clothesline project. I grabbed it, tested its weight. Good enough. Back at the shed door, I studied the setup. The padlock itself was fortress grade, but the hasp, the metal bracket bolted to the wood, that was the weak point. The wood was old, rotted by years of Arizona monsoons. Owen had never gotten around to replacing the boards. I wedged the rebar between the door frame and the hasp. Then I pushed. I put every ounce of weight behind it. The rebar bit deep into the wood. My 70-year-old arms shook. Sweat ran down my face despite the cold. My shoulders screamed. But this was for Owen. I poured 40 years of logging, ranching, and survival into that lever. Open or I'll tear you apart. I growled through clenched teeth. Crack. The wood splintered. The hasp ripped free from the frame, taking a chunk of rotted lumber with it. The door swung open with a long, agonizing creak. I froze. Did anyone inside the house hear that? I listened. Music still pounded from inside. It had covered the noise. I stepped into the shed. The smell hit me like a fist: old urine, sweat, disinfectant, and something metallic. I pulled out my phone, turned on the flashlight. The beam swept across the interior: torn bags of fertilizer, Owen's old lawnmower tipped on its side, garden tools scattered everywhere. Then the light stopped in the corner, and there he was, my son. Owen was curled on the cold cement floor, wearing nothing but boxer shorts in the December cold. His hands were bound behind his back to a wooden post with coarse rope. But worse, so much worse, was his right leg. A thick iron chain, the kind used for vicious dogs, clamped around his ankle. The other end was bolted deep into the concrete. His leg was swollen, purple-black, twisted at an angle that made my stomach lurch. Owen squinted into the flashlight, his head lifting slowly. When he recognized me, his one good eye went wide. But it wasn't relief. It was horror. Bo. His voice cracked with panic. Turn off the light. Run. You can't be here. Vance has a gun. He'll kill you. I didn't listen. I couldn't. I dropped to my knees on that freezing floor and pulled his face into my hands. Hot tears streamed down my cheeks, falling onto his bruised skin. My God, son, I whispered. What have they done to you? Owen shook his head frantically, still trying to push me away. Bo, please. He checks on me. He'll come. You have to, I'm not leaving you. My voice came out harder than I intended. I wiped my eyes, forced myself to focus. How long do we have? I don't know. 10 minutes. 20. Bo. He has a shotgun. He said if I scream he's not doing anything. I grabbed the rope binding his wrists and started working the knots. My fingers were stiff, clumsy with cold and rage. We're getting you out right now. The chain, I'll handle it. Owen's breath hitched. Fresh tears rolled down his face. I'm sorry, Bo. I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have Save your strength. The rope finally gave way. Owen's hands came free and he immediately tried to move his leg. He gasped, bit down hard on his lip to keep from screaming. Don't move it, I said. That ankle's badly injured. We need to get the chain off first. I examined the bolt anchoring the chain to the floor. Industrial strength, probably drilled in with a masonry bit. I'd need tools I didn't have. But the chain itself, the links were thick but old, rusted in places. I grabbed the rebar I'd used on the door. This is going to be loud, I said. Owen nodded, jaw tight. I wedged the rebar under one of the chain links and twisted with everything I had. I'm not going anywhere, I said flatly. No one's killing anyone. I'm getting you out of this hell. I pulled off my thick jacket and draped it over Owen's shaking shoulders. When I brushed against his leg, he gasped, biting down hard to keep from screaming. What? I demanded. Why is Brooks' family doing this to you? Owen's breath came in shallow gasps. Then he started talking. Last week, I went to check on the warehouse, for my trucking company. His voice was hoarse-broken but steady. There had been weird late-night shipments, drivers logging routes that didn't make sense. I went to the main garage after hours, wanted to see what was going on. I found Vance there and Wade, Brooks' father. They were pulling the spare tires out of 3 of my trucks. Inside the tire compartments, there were packages. White packages. Dozens of them. Crystal meth. My stomach dropped. I yelled, told them I was calling the cops. I reached for my phone. Owen's voice cracked. Wade, he grabbed a tire iron. I didn't see him coming. He hit me from behind. I blacked out. He paused, swallowed hard. When I woke up, I was here, tied up. Vance was standing over me with a baseball bat. He was smiling. Said, like calling the cops, huh? Let me teach you about minding your own business. Owen's eyes squeezed shut. Then he swung it at my leg. Bo, the pain. I passed out. Woke up from the pain. Passed out again. They took my phone, made me unlock it. Wade threatened, unlock it or I shoot Brooke right here. Vance had a gun to her head. I had no choice. Vance used my phone to send that text to you telling you to stay away. And Brooke? I asked quietly. Owen's face crumpled. She cried, begged her father to stop. Lynn slapped her hard. Wade told her, choose. The good life with us or your whole family goes to prison. His voice dropped to a whisper. She chose them, Bo. She stopped crying, went quiet. Left me here. The words hung in the cold air like poison. Why didn't they just kill you? I asked. Owen glanced toward the corner of the shed. I followed his gaze. On the workbench sat a small metal tray. On it, a clear plastic bag filled with white powder, a burned spoon, a lighter, and syringes in sterile packaging. My blood turned to ice. They need me alive, Owen said. The company's in my name. Clean record. Perfect for laundering money, moving product. If I die, cops investigate. The company gets frozen. But if I'm alive and controlled, they can use it forever. His voice dropped lower. They're going to inject me tonight. Bo, Vance said, it's my Christmas present. Said he'll turn me into an addict. Hook me on it. Once I'm addicted, I'll do anything for the next hit. And my word to the police, worthless. Paranoid junkie accusing his decent in-laws. That's what they'll say. I stared at him, an engineer, a businessman, a healthy, intelligent, honest man who'd built a company from nothing. And they wanted to make him a slave. Not kill him, that would be mercy. They wanted to break him, own him, use him. The plan wasn't just evil. It was perfectly, sickeningly efficient. Murder leaves a body. But destroy someone's mind, make them a slave to poison, and you can control them forever. No, I said. My voice was cold, hard as Arizona bedrock. I stood, looked at those syringes, looked at the chain around my son's ankle. There won't be any injection. No one's turning you into an addict. Not tonight. Not ever. Owen looked up at me, tears streaming down his dirty face. Bo, they'll kill you. I touched the knife in my pocket. Let them try. Click. The shed latch rattled. Heavy footsteps crunched through dry grass outside. Vance was coming. His voice drifted through the night, drunk and off-key, Merry Christmas to my favorite brother-in-law. Bottles clinked. He was carrying something. Owen whispered urgently, hide, behind the fertilizer bags. I glanced at the bags, then back at the door. If I hide, he'll inject you, I said quietly. I won't let that happen. The door creaked open. Vance stumbled inside, silhouetted against the faint moonlight. He didn't bother turning on a light, too confident, too drunk. Beer bottle in his left hand, handgun in his right, held loosely. All right, buddy. Time for your medicine. Ready to fly. He swayed slightly as he walked toward Owen, 5 steps into the shed. He tilted his head back to take a swig from the bottle. That moment, throat exposed, guard down. I swung the rebar at his gun hand. Crack. Direct hit to the wrist. Vance screamed. The gun flew from his grip, skittering across the cement floor into the shadows. He spun around. What the? Saw the old man holding the rebar. Rage flooded his face. He hurled the beer bottle at my head. I ducked. The bottle smashed against the wooden post behind me, glass exploding. I swung again, aiming for his knee. But Vance lurched backward, drunk but still had fighting reflexes. The rebar only grazed his thigh. He charged like a bull, 6 feet 2 inches, 220 pounds of muscle and fury. He slammed into me full force. We crashed into the stack of fertilizer bags. My back hit hard, pain lanced through my spine. The rebar flew from my hand. Vance landed on top of me, pinned me down, his hands clamped around my throat. Thick fingers squeezed tight. Old man, I'm going to kill you. I couldn't breathe. My vision started tunneling. Darkness creeping in from the edges. Owen screamed, Bo, no. My right hand fumbled into my inside jacket pocket. Fingers found the oak handle. I flicked it open, one smooth motion, muscle memory from 40 years ago. Vance didn't see it. He was focused on strangling me, eyes wild with rage. I drove the blade up into the outside of his thigh. Not the artery, but enough. Vance's scream was pure shock. He released my throat instantly, clutching his leg, rolled off me. You stabbed me. You crazy. He curled up, gripping the wound. I scrambled to my hands and knees, gasping like I'd run a mile. My throat burned, but adrenaline roared through me. Owen shouted, The gun, Bo. The gun. Owen, hands still tied, had stretched out his good leg, hooked the gun with his foot, dragged it closer. I lunged for it, grabbed it, aimed at Vance. Don't move. Vance froze on the ground, staring down the barrel. His face went pale. Don't shoot, man. It was just a joke. Wade made me do it. I didn't shoot. Instead, I picked up the rebar. This isn't a joke. I swung it in a controlled arc, connecting with the side of his head, temple area. Not a killing blow. Just enough. Thud. Vance's eyes rolled back. His body went limp, unconscious. Done. I gasped to Owen, breathing like I'd just sprinted a mile. My hands shook. My throat throbbed where Vance's fingers had nearly crushed my windpipe. But he was down, out cold. Let's go, son. But there was no time to celebrate this small victory. From inside the house, the music suddenly cut off. Silence for 2 seconds, then shouting, "What was that?" Lynn's shrill voice. "Vance, what happened?" Wade's voice boomed. "Vance, answer me." Thundering footsteps. I cursed under my breath. Vance's scream had been too loud. They'd heard. "Dad, we have to go," Owen said, eyes wide. "Right now." I searched Vance's pockets, front, wallet, phone. Back, a key ring with a Ford logo. Keys. Thank God. Owen, hold on. The chain around Owen's ankle was secured with a padlock. No key on Vance's ring, but the chain itself was anchored to the floor with a U-bolt system, bolt and nut. I grabbed a rusted adjustable wrench from the workbench and attacked the nut on the U-bolt. It was seized tight. My hands shook. Sweat dripped into my eyes. "Hurry, Dad," Owen urged, hearing the shouting from the house growing louder. I threw everything I had into it. The nut finally turned, loosened. I unscrewed it. The U-bolt came free from the floor anchor, but the chain was still clamped to Owen's ankle. The padlock remained. No time to get it off. "Can you walk?" Owen tried to stand. His leg buckled. He cried out in pain. "I'm okay. Let's go." I hauled him up. Owen put all his weight on his left leg. His right, broken, chain hung limp. The chain dangled, clanking. "Lean on me. Grit your teeth." My arm around his waist. His arm over my shoulders. We stumbled out of the shed. Immediately halogen floodlights blazed from the back porch, blinding us. Wade stood there with a shotgun. Lynn beside him. "There, kill them." "Wade, stop right there." I didn't stop. Kept moving, dragging Owen forward. Boom. The shotgun roared. Pellets tore into the ground 5 feet from us. Dirt exploded. Warning shot, or bad aim. "Run." I yelled. We staggered toward the side yard, using the bushes for cover. Boom. Second shot hit a tree branch above our heads. Debris rained down. We lurched around the side of the house. Owen groaned with every step. The chain around his ankle dragged, clink, 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 scraping across concrete. We reached the front yard. The 3 black F-150s were still parked there. I hit the key fob. The middle truck's lights flashed. Beep beep. I half-carried Owen to the passenger side, opened the door, practically shoved him in. He cried out when his broken leg hit the seat. "Sorry, son." Slammed the door, sprinted to the driver's side. Wade came around the corner from the backyard, shotgun raised. I was already in the driver's seat. Locked the door. "Wade, get out or I'll blow your head off." He aimed the shotgun at the windshield. I looked at him through the glass. "Let's see if your shotgun beats my truck." Key in the ignition. Turn. The V8 engine roared to life. Shifted into drive, slammed the gas. The truck launched forward, straight at Wade. His eyes went wide. He dove to the side at the last second, hitting the grass. The shotgun flew from his hands. I aimed for the iron gate at the property entrance. Crash. Violent impact. The metal gate ripped off its hinges, flew into the street. My head slammed into the steering wheel, no airbag. Older truck. Stars burst in my vision, but I kept the gas pedal down. Hard left turn. Tires screamed. The truck fishtailed. I straightened it out, roared down the suburban street. I glanced at Owen in the passenger seat. He was gasping, face pale, drenched in cold sweat. Both hands clutched his broken leg. The chain still clamped around his ankle swung down, rattling with every bump. Are we out, Dad?" he asked, voice barely a whisper. I checked the rearview mirror, the dark road behind us empty. No headlights chasing us yet. "Not yet, son," I said, eyes locked on the road ahead. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. "Not yet. This fight's just getting started." Owen was fading. I had minutes, not hours. I pushed the F-150 to 80 miles per hour on the empty Highway 82. Owen slumped against the passenger seat. His eyes fluttered.
Owen, stay awake. Don't sleep.
Dad, I'm cold. So tired. If you sleep now, you might not wake up.
I knew the signs: shock from trauma.
Broken bone, possible internal bleeding, life-threatening. Owen mumbled, remember when I was 7?
The cow.
Yes, I remember. You never gave up. Don't give up now. His head rolled to the side. I slapped his cheek, gentle but firm.
Owen. His eyes snapped open. Okay. I'm awake.
I knew this area from supply runs to the ranch. Sierra Vista Urgent Care, 30 miles from Tucson.
Small clinic.
Not a major hospital, too public, too many cameras. The Sterling family couldn't monitor everywhere. I saw the neon blue sign, Sierra Vista Urgent Care. One-story building, parking lot nearly empty in the dead of night. I jerked the truck right up to the entrance, parked crooked.
Didn't care.
Engine still running. Jumped out, ran to the passenger side.
Opened the door. Owen was half conscious.
I lifted him using old logging strength, carrying him across my arms to avoid jarring the broken leg.
Owen, pain from the movement. Sorry, son.
Almost there. I kicked the clinic door open with my boot. Inside, small waiting room, harsh fluorescent lights buzzing. Nurse Emily at the reception desk, young, mid-20s, nodding off over paperwork. She jolted awake at the noise. Saw an old man covered in dirt carrying a young man with a chain around his ankle. She screamed, "Oh my God!" The treatment room door burst open. Dr. Stone rushed out, 50s, glasses, exhausted. What's happening? He saw Owen, saw the chain, saw the leg, clearly broken, massively swollen. His expression shifted from professional concern to suspicion.
This wasn't a car accident. That's blunt force trauma. And that chain.
Who are you? What did you do to him? I was desperate.
I'm his father.
I just rescued him from kidnappers. Can you fix his leg before you interrogate me? Dr. Stone stared at me for a long moment, then, decision. He barked at Emily, treatment room now.
Morphine for pain. Move.
To me, you stay here.
The mistake.
As they wheeled Owen away on a gurney, I overheard Dr. Stone tell Emily, call the police. We have to report suspicious injuries.
Protocol.
I stepped forward, grabbed Emily's arm.
No, not local police. Call the FBI.
Federal. Dr. Stone pushed my hand away.
Sir, it's protocol.
We have to report this.
They pushed Owen through the door. It swung shut.
I was alone in the waiting room.
My phone was dead.
I sat down on a plastic chair. I needed to call Agent West.
Pulled out my phone, black screen. Dead battery.
Used the flashlight in the shed, GPS during the drive.
Damn it.
I slammed it on the chair. The walls were closing in. I knew local police meant a trap. The Sterling family owned the local cops.
But I couldn't run. Owen needed treatment.
Then I heard them, sirens. Not ambulance sirens. Police sirens.
Whoop. 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 My head snapped up.
Through the clinic's glass door, I saw flashing red and blue lights. 2 patrol cars screeched into the parking lot. 4 officers stepped out, hands on their holsters. Leading them was a heavy-set man with a thick mustache, eyes narrowed, scanning everywhere. I stood slowly. Every instinct in my body screamed wrong. They'd arrived too fast, way too fast for lazy local cops responding to a suspicious injury call at 3 a.m. That meant only one thing. They were already coming, already warned. The Sterling family had made that call before the doctor did. The heavy glass door swung open. Sheriff Carson stepped inside, heavy-set, mid-50s. Thick mustache, uniform straining against his gut. 3 deputies behind him, younger, hands resting on their gun belts. Carson's eyes swept the room, ignoring Nurse Emily at the desk, locked onto me.
He walked straight toward me, no hesitation.
You're the one who brought the injured man in.
I stood. I'm his father. Name's Nash. Who are you?
Sheriff Carson, Sierra Vista Police Department. You're under arrest for kidnapping, assault, and unlawful imprisonment. Shock hit me like ice water.
What? I'm the victim here.
My son was chained and beaten by his in-laws.
Carson smirked, didn't believe a word.
He leaned in close, whispered so only I could hear. The Sterling family called ahead, warned us about a crazy old man. Said you're dangerous, delusional.
My blood froze.
Carson continued, still whispering, "Old man, you poked the wrong hornet's nest. Vance is my drinking buddy. Wade plays golf with the mayor. You really think you can waltz in here and accuse them?" I understood. The whole town was on the cartel's payroll.
Or worse, just the sheriff.
But that was enough. Carson straightened, voice louder now. "I don't need to know who you are, but you're coming with us." I set my jaw. "My name's Nash, and I'm not going anywhere until my son's safe."
Carson, Nash, huh?
"Well, Nash, you got two choices. Handcuffs or we drag you out." He nodded to his deputies.
Cuff him.
Two young deputies stepped toward me, reaching for my arms. I made a split-second decision.
I cannot go with them.
If they took me, Owen would die. The Sterling family would finish the job. I grabbed a plastic waiting room chair, swung it hard at the nearest deputy.
Thwack, hit his shoulder.
The deputy staggered back.
How, he hit me. I didn't wait.
Bolted for the treatment room door.
Stop him. Carson roared.
I burst through the treatment room, one large space with 3 beds separated by curtains. Owen on the middle bed. Dr. Stone wrapping his leg. Nurse Emily holding an 4 bag. They looked up startled as I crashed in. "Owen, we have to go now."
Dr. Stone, what? He can't move. I just bang bang.
The deputies pounded the door.
Open up.
I slammed it shut, locked the bolt, but it was flimsy.
I looked around.
A heavy medicine cabinet on wheels leaned against the wall. I shoved it, scraping, rolled it in front of the door. Just as the deputies tried to push in, the cabinet blocked them.
Boom. Boom. They hammered harder.
The wood started to crack. Plaster dust fell from the doorframe. The small window on the door shattered. Crash. A tear gas canister rolled into the room, hissing, thick white smoke pouring out.
Cuff cuff.
Everyone started choking, eyes burning. Dr. Stone was shouting something about calling the state police, but his words were drowned out by the pounding on the door.
Boom boom boom.
The medicine cabinet scraped across the floor inch by inch. They were breaking through. I turned to Emily, coughing, "Your phone, can live stream? TikTok?
Facebook?"
Emily nodded, confused.
"Yes, 4G works." "Turn on the camera. Film me."
"Go live right now."
Emily hesitated. "Why?"
"Because the only thing stronger than corrupt cops is the truth going viral." Emily looked at the breaking door, looked at Owen, clearly a victim, looked at me, a desperate father.
She opened TikTok. "It's live."
I wiped tear gas tears from my face. Didn't want to look crazy. Wanted to look like a father. I stared into the camera lens, took a breath.
"Hello everyone. My name is Nash. I'm a father."
I stepped aside so the camera showed Owen on the bed, leg destroyed, purple-black, swollen, chains still clamped around his ankle. That image spoke louder than words.
"Look at this.
See what my son's in-laws did to him. They broke his leg, chained him like an animal in a shed on Christmas Eve.
Why?
Because he discovered they were trafficking drugs." I held up a small object, an SD card. Owen had slipped it to me in the shed, hidden in his shoe when captured. This SD card has proof video of the Sterling family, Vance and Wade, packing methamphetamine into my son's trucks. Outside, louder pounding. Carson's voice, "Breach it."
"But you know what?
Police are outside right now, Sheriff Carson from Sierra Vista. He's not here to arrest the drug dealers. He's here to arrest me, the victim's father." Crash. Another window shattered. Another tear gas canister rolled in. Thick smoke flooded the room. I coughed but kept talking.
"Share this video, please.
If we die tonight, it's because of Sheriff Carson and the Sterling cartel. Don't let this go unpunished." Emily, thousands of views already.
Comments flooding in. Boom. Final hit. The door collapsed.
The medicine cabinet tipped over with a crash. 4 deputies in gas masks stormed in.
Batons raised. One had a taser.
One shouted, "On the ground."
"Don't touch my son." Baton swung, hit my shoulder. I dropped to my knees. Zap. The taser hit my back.
Electricity coursed through me.
Muscles seized.
I fell hard onto the cold floor. Through the haze, I glimpsed Emily's phone screen. A notification popped up, live video posted successfully. 47,832 views. 12,389 shares. The numbers kept climbing even as deputies surrounded me. Even as Sheriff Carson stepped through the broken doorway, baton in hand, staring down with pure hatred. Even as everything went dark, I smiled. Because the truth was out, and you can't kill the truth. I lay on the ground, vision blurred, my body still twitching from the taser's aftershock. I tried reaching toward Owen's bed.
Owen, I tried.
Sheriff Carson stood over me, his boots on either side of my body. He raised the baton high.
I told you, old man.
In this town, I am the law. The baton hovered, ready to come down on my skull, a killing blow.
I closed my eyes. Forgive me, son. Boom. Not the baton.
An explosion from the clinic's main entrance. The entire front wall door blew inward, breaching charge. Then footsteps, precise military. Metal rattling gear. A voice like thunder, federal agents, drop your weapons now.
FBI stormed in.
Carson froze, baton suspended midair. He turned, through smoke and dust, FBI tactical team. 8 agents in full black tactical gear, FBI in gold letters on their vests.
Assault rifles, AR-15s.
Red laser dots dancing across Carson's chest and the deputies. Night vision goggles pushed up on helmets.
Leading them, one man calm, steady.
Agent West, 61, fit, walking through the smoke like he owned it.
No mask, didn't need one.
Handgun drawn but pointed down. Eyes locked on Carson. West spoke, voice cold and absolute, I'm only saying this once. Drop your weapons or I consider you cartel associates and we will open fire.
Not a threat, a promise.
Carson looked at his baton, looked at 8 assault rifles aimed at him, looked at West's face, no mercy there. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cold. His hand shook.
Clack. The baton hit the floor.
He raised his hand slowly, knees buckled.
He collapsed. Don't shoot.
I was just doing my job. West, your job was protecting people, not running security for murderers.
He signaled his team, cuff them, all of them. Strip badges. Confiscate weapons.
Forensics are en route. FBI agents moved in. Deputies slammed face down on the floor, rough but professional. Hands wrenched behind backs.
Click click. Handcuffs.
Badges ripped from uniforms.
Guns seized.
Carson, you can't do this. I'm the sheriff. West, you were a sheriff. Now you're a suspect in a federal drug trafficking investigation. Carson's face went white. West holstered his weapon, ran to me, knelt down, helped me sit up. Mr. Nash, I'm here. Are you okay? I coughed, tear gas still burning my lungs, vision clearing. I saw West's face, younger, but with the same determined eyes from years ago.
West, you came. Of course I came.
You taught me never abandon family. I gripped his arm.
Owen, save Owen.
West looked toward the bed where FBI paramedics were already working on Owen.
Paramedic, he's stable.
Serious trauma, but he'll make it. I exhaled the first real breath in hours.
Tears fell, not from tear gas. From relief.
My body sagged against West.
Thank you, son.
West, thank you, sir, for teaching me what honor means.
I was confused. 30 minutes.
How did you, West? FBI Tucson has a rapid response Blackhawk for border ops. We were airborne in 4 minutes. 80 miles by helicopter, 18 minutes. He added, your video went viral. 2 million views in 20 minutes. The FBI director himself called me, ordered immediate mobilization. I leaned against the wall, watching Sheriff Carson dragged out in handcuffs, his face twisted with rage and fear. The man who thought he was untouchable, the man who'd sold his badge to drug dealers. Now just another criminal. Agent West stood beside me, hand on my shoulder.
Sir, you did it.
You saved your son. In that video, you just lit a firestorm. The Sterling family can't hide anymore. Every news outlet in America is running this story. I looked at Owen, FBI paramedics carefully transferring him to a proper gurney. His eyes cracked open, found mine. He mouthed, "Thank you, Dad." I nodded, couldn't speak, throat choked with emotion. We'd done it. Barely, but we'd done it. Tonight, justice wasn't just a pretty word. Tonight, justice came with black boots and federal badges. My live video, just a few minutes long, had become the spark that burned down their entire empire. 3 days later, December 26th, Nash and Owen were in a secure wing of the Phoenix Military Hospital. Owen had undergone surgery, pins, screws in his leg. The doctor said he'd walk again, but with a slight limp. Owen, morphine days but lucid, smiled weakly. Rather limp than not walk at all, Dad. I sat beside his bed, holding his hand for the first time in days.
Safe.
Armed guards stood outside the door, federal protection. Agent West visited carrying a tablet. Mr. Nash, you need to see this. He showed me the video statistics, 47 million views in 72 hours. Hashtag Justice for Owen trending #1 nationwide. Hashtag Sterling Cartel #3. News coverage, CNN, Fox, ABC, all running it. The image of Owen chained was everywhere. Public outrage. This happened in America? Comments flooded in, find these monsters.
Hero father.
Investigate Sierra Vista PD. Politicians tweeting about the case. Arizona governor calling for federal investigation. FBI director under pressure from Congress. West explained, the Sterling family didn't even know you'd escaped until the next morning. Sheriff Carson was supposed to handle it quietly, bury both of you. Wade was too arrogant, thought local cops had it covered. By the time your video went viral at 5 a.m., we already had teams surrounding their house. They woke up to FBI breaching their door. West showed us body cam footage from the raid. Dawn, December 23, 6 a.m. FBI tactical teams surrounded the house. Loudspeaker, Wade Sterling, FBI, come out.
No response. Breach team stormed in.
Found Wade and Lynn in the living room trying to burn documents in the fireplace. Too late. Vance on the couch, wounded, leg bandaged, assault rifle beside him. He didn't dare use it. All three arrested. But the real evidence, agents tore up the garage floor concrete. Found a secret vault underneath, ladder leading to an underground room. Inside, over 110 pounds of crystal meth and heroin, assault rifles, cash, more than $800,000, ledgers with handwritten transactions. Biggest cartel bust in Arizona this year, West said. He held up an evidence bag, Owen's SD card. We recovered this from your jacket. Watch the footage. Crystal clear. Video showed Wade and Vance opening spare tires, packing drugs. Audio, if this shipment goes through, we're set for 6 months.
Just don't let Owen find out. He's too honest. Then Owen walked in, shouted.
Wade attacked with a tire iron. This is ironclad evidence, Nash. They can't deny it. Owen's voice quiet, what about Brooke?
West hesitated.
She cried when we arrested her, said she'd beg her father to stop. But when Wade slapped her and told her to choose the good life or her family in prison, she chose them. West looked at Owen with sympathy. She didn't directly harm you.
But she stayed silent, watched.
The prosecutors are charging her as an accessory. Owen stared at the ceiling, silent for a long moment.
Then, she made her choice.
Now she lives with it. I squeezed my son's hand. The boy who once cried over a lost cow, now a man betrayed by his wife, tortured by her family, and somehow still strong enough to survive.
Trials in 3 months, West said.
With this video and the SD card, they can't escape. Their lawyers are expensive, crafty. But we have the truth.
He looked at both of us.
And the truth never dies. 3 months later, March, the trial of the century.
Every seat packed.
Federal courthouse in Tucson, imposing, fortress-like security everywhere. The courtroom jammed, press, activists, public. Nash and Owen sat front row, victim side. Owen in a wheelchair, still not walking well. Across, the Sterling family in orange jumpsuits, shackled. Behind them, 3 defense attorneys in $5,000 suits. The lead defense attorney, smooth, 50s, silver hair, stood. Your Honor, my clients are victims of tragic misunderstanding. Owen Sterling has documented history of erratic behavior.
A lawyer but smooth.
The drugs were planted by competitors. The torture was self-inflicted during mental crisis. The viral video, cleverly edited for sympathy. We move to dismiss all charges.
Confident, logical.
Nash watched Owen grip the wheelchair armrests, knuckles white, face flushed. Nash whispered, easy, son. Owen, he called me insane. Nash, truth is like a needle, son. Today it'll pierce their throats. The prosecutor, a woman in her 40s, sharp, stood. Your Honor, the defense is right. Videos can be edited. That's why we're not relying solely on the viral video. She held up an evidence bag, the SD card. This is unedited body camera footage from Owen's safety vest. Recovered from his shoe sole where he hid it before being beaten unconscious. The screen activated. The entire courtroom watched the large display. Crystal clear, Owen's POV entering the warehouse. Wade and Vance cutting open spare tires. White packages visible. Audio perfect. Vance, if this shipment goes through, we're set for 6 months.
Wade, just don't let Owen find out. He's too honest.
Then Owen's voice, what the hell are you doing?
Wade spun, face white. Vance, damn it, Owen.
I'm calling the cops. Wade grabbed a tire iron, approached from behind.
Swing, hit Owen's neck.
Camera spun, crashed black, but audio continued, thwack, thwack, hitting.
Owen's groans. Vance, gag him.
Wade, get the truck. We're taking him home. Silence when the video ended.
No one moved.
Some jurors had tears.
Wade slumped pale. Vance trembled.
The defense attorney's mouth hung open. The prosecutor called Nash to the witness stand.
Nash stepped up, slow but steady. Swore the oath.
Prosecutor, tell the jury what you did when you suspected your son was in danger. Nash spoke simply, I'm not educated, just a farmer. But I taught my son, be honest, work hard, respect family. When I got that message, I knew something was wrong.
A father knows.
He looked at the jury. They broke his leg, chained him, planned to destroy his soul with drugs. But they forgot one thing.
He pointed at Owen.
They forgot he's my son and I don't abandon family. You can have money, power, guns, but we have the truth.
His voice rang.
And the truth never dies.
Applause erupted.
The judge ordered silence, but she fought tears too. Jury deliberated 4 hours.
Returned.
Foreman, we find Wade Sterling guilty on all counts. Vance Sterling guilty on all counts. Lynn Sterling guilty on accessory charges. Gallery cheered. Judge, Stern, Wade Sterling, 25 years federal prison. Vance Sterling, 30 years. Lynn Sterling, 15 years. All assets forfeited.
Gavel bang.
Outside, before transferred to women's detention, Brooke in orange cuffed, asked, can I see Owen?
1 minute.
Agent West nodded, 5 minutes supervised.
Waiting room. Owen in wheelchair.
Nash by the door watching. Brooke led in, mascara streaking.
Owen. I'm sorry.
I was scared. They threatened to kill me.
Kill you.
Owen, quiet, I know you were scared. I don't blame you for being scared. But forgiveness doesn't mean going back. You watched them break my leg. You stayed silent when your father hit me with that tire iron. That silence hurt more than the beatings. I need someone who stands with me in the storm, not behind my enemies.
Owen turned his wheelchair.
Goodbye, Brooke. I hope you find peace, but not with me. Brooke collapsed, sobbing, remorse too late. I pushed Owen's wheelchair into Arizona's spring sunshine, warm golden. Desert wildflowers blooming, life renewing. Owen was silent as we rolled down the ramp. Then, did I do the right thing, Dad? I stopped, knelt to eye level. Son, forgiving her, that's strength. Walking away, that's wisdom.
You did both.
I'm proud of you. He nodded, took a shaky breath. But it still hurts, Dad.
I know.
But that wound will heal too. And when it does, you'll be stronger than you ever imagined. 3 months after the trial, June, winter long past, and on my old ranch, the smell of smoked brisket warmed the evening air. My backyard, summer evening, 7 p.m. The sun set over desert hills, sky painted orange and purple. A large fire pit ringed with stones. Mesquite wood crackled. Brisket on the grill, not goat, but proper American barbecue, slow smoked for 14 hours. The smell, smoked meat, barbecue sauce, desert sage. Owen stood by the grill with crutches, no wheelchair anymore, but still needed support. He flipped the meat, face lit by firelight, smiling.
The first real smile in months.
A scar on his forehead from Wade's tire iron attack, but his eyes clear, full of life.
Owen called out, "It's done, old man.
Get the whiskey." I sat on the porch watching, smiled.
Don't call me old man.
Your fake text said that. Owen laughed, sorry. I mean, Dad, esteemed father, bring the liquor. I stood, went inside, returned with the aged whiskey, the very bottle I'd prepared for Christmas 6 months ago.
Dusted it off.
Been saving this for the right moment. A pickup truck rumbled up the dirt driveway. Agent West, civilian clothes, jeans and t-shirt. He'd driven from Phoenix, 2.5 hours, just for this. Mr. Nash, Owen. They hugged carefully, Owen still healing. West, sorry I'm late. Traffic on Highway 10. I said, you're right on time, son. 3 men around the fire. We sat on wooden chairs. Plates loaded with brisket, cornbread, coleslaw. Firelight danced on our faces. Stars began appearing, Arizona night sky, brilliant.
Toast time.
I poured 3 glasses of whiskey. Raised mine, to coming home. West, to justice. Owen, to being alive. Cheers. We clinked glasses. Drank. The whiskey burned warm down our throats. We sat in comfortable silence, only sounds, fire crackling, crickets, distant coyotes howling across the plains. I watched Owen eat heartily, saw the crutches leaning against his chair, saw the scar, but I also saw life, strength, survival. I thought back 6 months ago, the horror of that text message, the desperation in the shed, fighting Vance, nearly dying in the clinic, and now this, warm fire, good food, my son laughing with West about some FBI case. My eyes stung, not from smoke, from gratitude. I set down my glass, turned, looked straight ahead as if speaking to someone watching. Let me tell you something important. Life is full of traps, wolves in sheep's clothing. They can take your money, your house, even your name. But there's one thing they can never take, the blood that runs through your family. Never ignore the voice in your heart. When your instinct, your corazon, tells you your child is in danger, you throw fear straight to hell. You break down doors. You fight like an animal. Because the greatest wealth a man has isn't in his bank account. I gestured to Owen and West beside me. It's the people sitting around the fire tonight.
I'm Nash.
I'm a father and I'm proud of that.
I picked up my plate.
Owen handed me a piece of brisket. I bit into it, closed my eyes, savoring.
Outstanding, son.
Better than any 5-star restaurant. Owen grinned wide. I told you, Dad. Best brisket in Arizona. I raised my glass one more time.
Merry Christmas, Owen.
6 months late, but we made it. Owen raised his, Merry Christmas, Dad. Fire crackled, stars shone. Night was cold, but our hearts had never been warmer. Looking back at this true story, I realize how dangerously close I came to losing everything. When Owen sent that message on Christmas Eve, I didn't hesitate. I got on a bus to Tucson at midnight. But here's what haunts me, I almost waited. I almost convinced myself he was fine.
Don't be like me.
Don't second-guess your instincts when someone you love needs help. I wasted precious hours questioning that feeling in my gut. By the time I arrived, Owen had been chained in that shed for 3 days.
3 days.
If I had waited until morning or told myself it could wait until after the holiday, I might have arrived to find my son turned into an addict, or worse, dead. These grandpa stories aren't just entertainment. This true story taught me the most important lesson of my life. When family is in danger, you don't calculate the risk, you move. The Sterling family counted on my hesitation. Sheriff Carson counted on my obedience.
They nearly won.
Thank God I trusted my old instincts one more time. Thank God I remembered that a father's job never ends. Not at 68, not ever. Owen is alive today because I didn't wait for permission or proof.
I just went.
So listen carefully to these grandpa stories. They're not just about what I did right. They're warnings about what I almost didn't do. Your loved ones don't need a perfect hero. They need someone who shows up, even when it's terrifying. That's what all grandpa stories teach us. This true story could save your family. Share it. Comment below if you've ever trusted your gut to save someone. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.